But now let's focus in Dusty versus Singularity. And a lot of people may say, oh, it's Singularity, they're going to lose again. Well, they got a W, so...
Joke's on you!
Joke's on you. It took them
just beat
13 games. They never win Singularity 14 times in a row.
No one beat Singularity
14 times in a row.
In the
There you
NLC.
go.
The 14th team is going to fail, and that team was Bifrost.
Now, if we need to focus into this one, Dusty have a 4-win streak so far. That team seems undefeatable.
So what? Singularity have a 1-win streak.
I never thought I would hear that. No, but it's still 4. Look at this. They made a few slips. Yes, they were still getting customized to the new roster. And all of a sudden, to the stars.
Yeah, it feels like the only way is up for Dusty. We had our doubts in the early stages of summer, and we're like, is this roster gonna gel together? Because we know they have like stars in the team, like the Voxne, who one day he will pick the Soraka, the next day he will pick the Vayne. You never know what's gonna happen on the bot side of the map. But I feel like the fact that they kept Backland from Spring, and he was the only remaining member. They put 4 members around Backland. The fact that they invested on this guy.
If I may, it is the opposite. I had a conversation with them, and specifically Backland was the last player being put inside of the team. I got that information from the inside. So I'll talk.
But you know why? Because he was that good that he deserved to stay.
Oh yeah. Aragon, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, so I just wanted to say, I really like this Dusty roster. If I can make a bold claim,
yes,
I think they're my dark horse to win.
The entire split?
Yes, I think they're
You
insane.
mad lad.
ADXL lose to Dusty. That's the script.
Genuinely, I think I just love the way they play around topside, especially. You see these, I'm pretty sure just watching, I can tell Linkus is a fantastic shot call. It's very obvious all the shot calling comes from Linkus. You see them invading jungle second rotation spawns, that you see them diving topside, all these amazing plans that I just love. I think they're an amazing team. I think they're just going to keep getting better, maybe win the split.
So from top lane now into the mid lane, let's talk about the key and the start of the team Backland. What can we expect from him? How is he so good? Look at this. He's just skyrocketing from spring to summer. He's developing, evolving.
And I think the most important thing right here is his skill participation that's gone 11% up. He is part of most of the kills for his team. And the only reason why he's not is because he has other members of his team solo killing people on side lanes, aka Kerberos sometimes, you know? So look at his pool though. It's remained the same from spring through to summer. If anything, it's gotten even more aggressive right there with the Yone, the Ari, LeBlanc still with Zoe, one of his 2 favorites, and Yasuo being added into the mix, which brings a lot of AP junglers into the mix as well.
Okay, now I'm jumping back to you, and we need to talk about jungler Scrooty on one side. We did an amazing pre-game about that, but let's look into this one. This is a highlight from Backland, the way he can position himself, and he built the Ludens in the book, Ferrari. That's the only way to shut up Nightmare.
Did he though shut up Nightmare? Okay, sorry, let's talk about
Nightmare is really happy with this one. Look at him!
You see that how important it is to have that burst damage when you're the only AP damage dealer in your team. I think in the past few games, like he's played 2 Yasuo games, undying. He's played a Yone game, he died once. He's played this Ari game, he got a 25 stack Medjais. The guy is absolutely insane. He's a maniac in the mid lane, and if I'm being honest, give me that Eminence versus Backland right now, you know?
Don't go there. We still have to see this one now. Scrooty versus Backland. Is this the winning condition for Singularity? To get Scrooty to shut down Backland because you still have Kerberos? What is the winning condition for Singularity?
Oh, for Singularity, I think draft full comfort. I think, honestly, being honest, I think Singularity are outclassed. I think the best way for them to win is to draft full comfort. Something similar, like have an insane draft, something similar along the lines of when they played against Bifrost and won. And where they drafted like neutralizing lanes against the enemy win condition, right? They had Ashe, Braum into the Callista Nautilus, and Bifrost couldn't do anything. So I do think it's all, the name of the game is comfort for Singularity.
Aragon, can you press the button? Hey, he did it! I'm proud of him.
It's a little bit delayed, but it's okay. There we go.
No, it's cool. I keep saying this is Wi-Fi. So, Lilia should be banned from Singularity. We need to see Scrooty on a different champion.
Dusty. Oh, sorry.
Bans.
Yeah, I understand
yeah.
what you mean now.
We understand each other. So they need to remove the Lilia, and finally we can get to see Zpikee on another champion, and we see, is he that good, or is it just Lilia?
I mean, it really depends on how scared Dusty is of it. Maybe they just say, we can handle you, right? And
I've seen the man on Kha'Zix. What is this question? He was a menace on the map.
But
Bring back the
enough of a
Kha'Zix.
menace?
Okay, so obviously the Kha'Zix is there to sort of like clean up the fight and really provide you with so much engage and disengage, right? But another champion that can potentially do close to what Lilia does is something like the likes of Hecarim or Udyr. Hard family junglers that can provide you with engage and disengage. Udyr, not so much. It's mostly about Hecarim out there, who's the AD Lilia. Both ponies very similar, you know, in style. But I think it's going to determine a lot what the first pick will be here, especially for Singularity, because last time, let's not forget, when they were playing versus Bifrost, they had red side. You have the chance to counter pick. This time you're playing versus one of the most unpredictable when it comes to draft teams in the league, and you also have blue side. So I agree with you. You need to draft comfort and things that you're very good at in the early game, such as maybe Lucian even for Merza, and then send it down bot lane if it doesn't serve the purpose in mid.
Zeri is still available, Lilia as well. They're not looking into those comfort picks as we talked about. Then Voxne with the Jinx has popped up multiple times, so it's really hard to ban away. Then Voxne, you can't even do it. It's going to be Mirza Swain being removed from the mid lane, so maybe they can prioritize something for the jungle so far for Team Singularity to get themselves in a comfort place.
I definitely think what we're going to see is the standard for Dusty with the Facilitator jungle and the roaming mid laner into playing for Kerberos because they're red side and they get counter pick. I think maybe look for something like a volley bear for Linkus maybe. Oh, the Seraphine's open and that champ's completely busted, so we see that.
That's the way to say it, yeah.
So there's that. I didn't even notice it was up.
Quick question though. Flex pick for Singularity. This is pretty good when you're on blue side. The fact that you do have one pick, but you can send both ways, I think it really counts. Now, knowing how Zpikee and Person can be more for neutralizing bot lane, I'm expecting the Seraphine to go bot.
If this is actually a Diana, just a heads up, we haven't seen a Yasuo ban.
Buckland's Yasuo?
We haven't seen a Yasuo ban, and he's been permabanned against Backland. So maybe we see a Diana, yes, maybe? This is
a combo could be back. And it's Backland with Yasuo.
Now, quick note though, we heard Duckling say that then Voxne also plays Yasuo down the bot side of the map, so you can have, again, your flexibility in the draft for Dusty and then ending up sending that Yasuo bot, because I feel like Yasuo is so good into Seraphine, being able to block her ultimate is going to be huge in team fights. And look, you've already got
Yasuo is coming.
Yasuo.
He's coming. Now, do you pick it for Singularity to just remove it away from Backland?
You know what the Diana Nautilus is? Dun, 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 dun. You know he's coming, but you can't do nothing about it.
Because now you're forced to take a decision. Do you pick it? Because I don't think you can ban it away. They're not going to allow Yasuo to be banned away unless they want to bait in that ban and maybe bring something interesting. Zpikee, he got himself his comfort pick.
There it is. Now, they need some priority mid lane, I think, but I'm fairly convinced we see the Yasuo here. There's no way not, right? With all the hype on Backland's Yasuo, I think he's definitely going to pick it.
It's still on Mirza, though. It's still on Mirza. We still.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Maybe they need to open up.
I think this is going to be a Seraphine bot lane. The fact that you do have Lilia mid, I would like to see maybe something AD with the Lucian towards the mid lane. Now this pretty much shoves your Yasuo down the bot lane, so I'm still thinking it's going to be then Voxne piloting the Yasuo because it's so freaking strong into Seraphine. The fact that you can block the ult and then re-engage and get your Yasuo in Seraphine very squishy, can still die. No words for you, durability patch, I'm sorry. And now it comes down to what more can you do, because usually when Singularity go in, they have large area of control CC that they have. Something that's been popping up a lot over in the world and the LEC as well is the Amumu, usually played a lot with something like a Kalista, something very aggressive in lane. But since you do have the Lucian in the mid lane, a lot of roams towards mid could also net you a bunch of early game kills.
Now, do we know that Lucian is mid, or is he still a flex?
I think Lucian is mid here. I think this is a Lucian mid, Seraphine bot lane for Zpikee.
Seraphine for Zpikee, not for Person.
No.
So what Person can bring?
Amumu here is not bad. You have a lot of AD damage though, so Sips can go towards something like the Camille again, and you can bunch up all your CC onto that one person. That one person just dies.
I think we have our typical answers in Braum as a counter to Nord, but I also think they might just match. the Fiora ban. I think they might just match roaming support like a Leona into a Nautilus. But the Fiora ban signals maybe an on top, but that'd be too much magic damage, right?
Can I make a question?
I think this is going to be a Camille top lane.
Camille top lane,
and a
yes.
Mumu bot lane, and they're going to have so much freaking CC as well as AP damage
about
coming in from
Poppy?
Seraphine.
Yasuo, Diana, and Nautilus.
No.
No, you
Poppy
don't
would be
see a
forced-
Poppy appearing here.
I don't see a Poppy appearing here because he's primarily a jungler.
Yeah,
She's not
that's what I wanted to
necessarily a
say.
top laner. Maybe in the bot lane, but it's just not very strong around Seraphine. It doesn't protect as much. I'm sticking to my guns right here. Something like a Wombo combo, like Vanille brought with the Galio. Galio could also be good here, but then you have too much AP damage. I think this is going to be a Camille, a Mumu angle from the side of Singularity.
By the way, Dusty missed the ban by themselves. They just decided to
don't
skip
need
it.
bans.
They're like, we're good. We
Nah.
don't need anything else. So now they have to reveal a little bit more of their composition. Maybe they can look into the AD carry position and finally realize, is Backland going to pilot the Yasuo or is
Okay,
it
I
going to be
lost.
the Voxnet?
I lost.
The Voxnet.
It's Backland of the Yasuo. I mean, it makes sense. He's played 2 games. He hasn't died in any of them with Yasuo. It's absolutely insane.
Lucian versus Yasuo. We believe it's going to be Lucian versus Yasuo. It's going to be an interesting matchup.
This is going to be the only draft I'm completely wrong, by the way. You just wait.
Yeah, I know. So far, you've been correct 100% of the time until now, in Summer Split and Spring Split as well.
Ooh, the Amumu.
Or if they get the Amumu and if they get the Camille, I'll buy you
Actually, I
a
think it's a-
donut.
A donut. Okay.
A donut.
Do it for the donut.
Half donut.
Sips. Do it for the donut, Sips.
You already have half donut. I'm just letting you know.
Sips, do it for the donut, man.
Eragon.
Yeah, buddy.
How much of a donut do you think she can get on this one?
I think it's 100% Camille, by the way. I think you've lost a donut. I think it's 100%.
I'm investing a donut.
That's not locked in, right?
No, it's not locked in.
I can't tell. Okay.
It's locked in! It's half a donut! I'll buy a donut and eat half of it and then I'll give it to you.
I can't
Live.
believe it.
At least I get half a donut. I'm fine.
It's good.
It's good. It's better than no donuts, man.
But I'm so confused as to
agree with
why.
you.
What a
wasn't
god!
big Camille, I
As
know,
a
I agree with you.
blind pick, this is so interesting. What do you face?
So your best counters into Urgot are something like an Aatrox.
Yeah.
Ornn is very good, but you want to use your R5 counter pick. Gnar also outranges. You've got your Gangplank, which is banned, unfortunately. But like, I don't think Kerberos plays Aatrox. Oh, it's a Gnar.
This is a lot of CC to initiate a fight and allow Yasuo to pick. He has a lot to pick from.
I think in
Yeah.
this particular compositions that we're watching right now, the person who presses the button to engage first wins the fight. Because right now we saw even Bro played against T1 over in the LCK. Bro are the last team that haven't got a single win. They played the Amumu. They C champion, they Q champion. Whoever gets stunned first or whoever gets engaged first, whether it's a Nautilus ult or a Diana ult, ends up going down. Now my problem right here is that Singularity are so freaking squishy, man. So squishy. The Diana gets on you. You don't even need the Yasuo. She will one-shot you by herself.
So do you think it's gonna win? I need a name. Give me a name.
I'm gonna give it to Dusty. I believe in Backland's Yasuo. He has not even died. I don't even know if Singularity can actually get him to die once this game.
Ooh. What about you?
So I think Dusty are going to win. But I do like Singularity's draft a little bit. I think they have drafted like towards the best chances of winning. But I do think Dusty just outclass in every way.
This could be the 5th game in a row that Dusty are going to take home, getting themselves closer to Riddle and that second seed on the other side. Singularity might win for the 2nd time in a row. That would be interesting. But without further ado, I'll toss it to the casters as I'll take my half of donut. It's on to you, Initialize, and I'm in.
Can I, like, have more than half a donut? Is that allowed? Well, what we can do is we can make a donut for him. This isn't a fusion dance, it's actually a donut dance. Yeah. So we have that now. Is it like a glazed donut? Like, you can get like the Krispy Kreme ones, which are really good? If I were going to go for a donut, I would go for They are really good. Back to things which are slightly more NLC related. Of course, into Game 2 of the day. So, of course, Aragon was talking a little bit about that Urgot. Now, yes, but we've seen quite a lot of that. We get to use one of these a day because we love ourselves some Japanese League of Legends, and there's a top laner over there called Ebi. It's spelled with a V, but it's Ebi. It's like a shrimp. Because there's no V in the Japanese language in terms of the syllables. And he plays a load of Urgot. And now there were obviously some kind of questions about, does Aatrox counter it? What about Gnar? Well, the thing is, actually, someone like an Urgot can very much outlane all of them if you use your disdain that jump very, very well. And either way, in a side lane, all you need is a little bit of extra damage, one person turning up at the right time, and things get absolutely horrid. You know, one good gank, and suddenly Urgot is ahead of you, and they get to execute you with ease. So that's something which I'm going to be keeping an eye on. And also, if you're actually engaging onto their Urgot as well, remember, you get to stand up there, you get the empowered Seraphine W, can empower your Disdain shield as well if you end up using that first, and then the ult coming through can very much block a lot of that combo out. I actually think this Urgot quick is actually quite good.
Sensible.
I like it quite a lot. It is, of course, going to have to be subject to whatever the heck is going to happen in terms of getting picked off, because there is so much CC. Things can get very, very difficult very, very quickly. And of course, that wind wall can block a lot of your impact too. But this is a pick we have a little bit of experience with, and just diving into that a little. Sips, I think, has agency this game.
He does indeed, and the thing is, it's such good setup for a jungler like Lily. At the moment you both hit level 6, your kill threat is so high. Absolutely brutal.
It is absurd. Of course, he's against Kerberos, and this is a matchup which, of course, I want to talk about a little bit.
Go for it.
Singularity as a whole, they have a lot of new names here. They might have been around Div 2 than different places across the ERLs, but this is a team which has been put together halfway through Summer Split to try and get this team out of relegations. Now, that is going to be very, very difficult for them to achieve. They need to leapfrog not one, but 2 teams to get out of that. Or at least, if they can't do that, give themselves a good showing. And they have to do that with not as much experience, not as much time on the Rift as so many of our other teams, especially when you compare it to someone like Kerberos in this top side. And Den Voxney, of course, we've got him on screen too, one of those other decorated veterans of the NLC scene. But looking at Kerberos on his most played champion, which he has brought up so many times in the UK scene, even back to like LVP and the likes, it's a tough battle when you're looking at the amount of games played and seeing the amount of experience that brings to bear.
Absolutely. He is one of our better performing top laners, right up there alongside the likes of Cries and Chasey and Jaxplank with those DPM and CS numbers. So some pretty rarefied heights to be in. Of course, the 10-4 record as well right now. Both solo laners really for Dusty have been nothing short of impressive.
Now, Backlund, of course, on his famed Yasuo at this point. This has been something which Dusty have comboed up with so much. And this actually was the pick alongside, of course, the setup comps, which Dusty so loved to play, that got them their first win over a team above them in the standings. They beat Astralis Talon, and they finally started climbing that ladder. It took them a long time. They were kind of a bit of a gatekeeper for a while. And this is why, suddenly, jumping into this point where actually, Aragon said, Dark Horse to win the split. We were saying, when Don Jake was on here too, actually, this is a team with an incredibly high skill ceiling. This match, if I wanted to distill it into one sentence, is the team finding their feet versus the team finding their ceiling. I think that Dusty are really coming in hot, and Singularity can have a tough time of it showing up against one of our real strongest teams in the NLC currently.
Of course, a fair amount of overlap in that room, a fair amount of space between the floor and the ceiling to see where these two teams intersect, to whichever end of that room they happen to be on in the standings.
It's going to be a
right
crawl
now.
space or a cathedral.
Exactly that. And of course, Dusty, a bit more of a standard draft with, of course, the slight excitement of that Yasuo pick.
Album name. Crawl spaces and cathedrals.
That's a good album.
Yeah. I'll note that one down. Don't steal it.
But then the problem is it gets shortened down to CNC, and people think that you talk about Command and Conquer.
I'm going to go to the one place not corrupted by capitalism. Space!
That's a complete lie. Have you seen how many satellites are up there?
True, God. You know there's a giant debris field?
I do. Isn't there like a concept about when it's going to hit?
WALL-E, the movie WALL-E.
Isn't there supposed to be like a point beyond which the atmosphere becomes like too saturated with stuff as well as the thing?
I wish I knew that, but there probably is.
The WALL-E constant.
Saturated by champions is mid lane.
Indeed.
Scrudy is walking in, but Backlund has many flashes in the form of minion dashes.
He does. He's
that's
over the
slick.
wall, but will he be able to get any further? I just don't know. He's going back through the minion and levels up, and that'll buy him some time, but the Ignite comes through, and First Blood goes nowhere else but Scrudy's Lilia.
So, I used to play with the Yasuo main quite a lot back in like Season 5, Season 6, and every time a minion wave came into lane, he would be like, I've got 6 flashes available now. And Backlund uses an awful lot of them. And he uses them through the champions too, and it's slick moves, it's fun, it's fancy. But Backlund dies on Yasuo, and he goes down, and what a shame that is. And for his own KDA on that champion, Scrudy picks up the kill.
And I have to call it out that, of course, that does mean that Georgia, otherwise known as Trouble Inc., was wrong. And Backlund died on Yasuo for First Blood, no less. You heard it here, chat. You heard it here, production. Clip it, ship it, and embarrass her with it later. With our love sent.
You see, they were talking about, Backland, he's picked the Ludens Magi's Arius, finally shut up, Nightmare. You see, this is the vengeance we visit upon you. You think that...
He's going to come in here and take us off
lie.
the cast very swiftly.
Yeah, well, I mean,
We'll
Backland,
deserve
is,
it as well.
Backland is now my favorite, no, legally my favorite player within the...
Oh, I see. So that's the... So
Yeah,
if someone else picks Ludens, do you have to fight?
He actually had to put, like, he was typing in all chat just hashtag advertisement is what I paid him to do that. And I believe just for legal
Did you
reasons.
just...
That's absolutely not the case. I'm not
Did you just
doing
admit to bribing players to buy items?
Look, oh no, I'm bribing a player to build the correct build. Ooh, what a shame. Of course, if he builds a Magi's and Yasuo this game,
then there's a problem.
We'll have a few issues with it. But of course, he's going to be looking towards...
Sweeping Blade has an AP ratio, I think.
I actually believe it does. Actually, so this is a really fun thing because this is something that was added to a lot of champions to build Triforce. There's a trifecta of Singularity champions is down on this bottom side.
Flash out of Stend puts him in a difficult position here. There's a watch out Eep and another fantastic route as the beat gets dropped. And then Voxnay may have a Crescendum and a Severin, but he will not be keeping his Nautilus alive. Singularity, 2 on the board. And they're both on Scroody. This man's Lilia is just a menace.
And, you know, we were talking about in pre-show as well. One of the big points was Scroody. This player is such a driving force for this new Singularity roster, coming in with the top damage percentage of any jungler, and it is not close. Of course, he's got less games, so that can get very, very much skewed, but it is also, with all those games, being on Lilia pretty much. And a Kha'Zix, this guy wants to do damage, and with 2 kills on the board, he is set up perfectly to do so again. Your Backland is the player that's been really thriving for Dusty recently with those big damage numbers. It has been Scroody on the other side for Singularity, and even though they are at 1 and 13, this is a recipe, though short-lived, for success so far.
So 84% kill participation, 27% damage share from the jungler. Yes, he's been playing the champions to facilitate that, but Scroody has been nothing short of a revelation for this Singularity squad, and they have needed it because we've had a lot of criticisms about the way they've managed rosters, about how they've been playing in the league, but this current roster seems to be bringing it together, of course, with the likes of relegations looming, and yes, Singularity aren't locked in, but it's pretty damn close to it. Trying to get together to the point where they can be a cohesive and challenging unit for our Division 2 teams to have to face off should they wish to brave the gauntlet and make their way up to Division 1 is exactly what they need to be doing.
And that really is the question. That's the lens you got to put on it. Singularity are overwhelmingly likely to be in those relegations. It's a case of how good a case they can make for themselves to say, actually, we're not leaving this time. You're not kicking us out. We're going to go stick around in that Division 1. Of course, Div 2 rosters looking mighty strong themselves. We'll check in on that, of course, as we get through to that postseason as well, not just playoffs, but those promotion relegations to keep an eye on. Now, the way they've been making that case so far, in terms of how good this team potentially can be, is through comfort. And now, of course, Mirza playing a number of games on the Dissolution mid, pretty much the only player I've seen really going towards this pick anymore. But comboing up with an AP jungler, it has seriously helped them. If that was me, I would attempt to die.
You would have been quite tempted. The problem is Person would have been around with Flash and
by the way, and
exhaust,
this is
and you
why
would have died.
this is why I do not win on Yasuo ever, because I'm sat there like, aha, funny ultimate. Of course, Stend was just around the corner, and Linkers was making their way in, but wasn't nearly close enough. But jungle support making their way towards mid lane, that's something which Dusty have done an awful lot for backline so far. Only really actually outclassed in that manner by Astrala's talent. Astrala's talent have been our mid lane demolitionists. They have been so good at destroying that lane, and that is a team which Dusty are facing off against for that second place spot, realistically. It's Dusty, it's Riddle, Astrala's talent, and then of course X7 if they can get good enough results. Now, it is really Dusty who are trying to steal a march on that second place spot. I mean, with Riddle faltering a little bit, losing there a couple of the games, Dusty can see very much an opening put in. How much can they really capitalize upon it, though? Singularity 1 and 13, you'd like to think that they can't find this stumbling block, but of course Bifrost could.
There's a Flash and a Lunar Rush available for Linkers, which means Mirza needs to be a little afraid stepping up. He is now backing away, but how quickly can he make the distance? But he is far enough away. Top side, though, 2 plates gone down to Kerberos now, who is honestly playing that Gnar into Urgot matchup pretty well so far. And the gold is pretty damn close. In fact, it's even, but now Backland's in a lot of danger. Flash over the wind wall, but the turnaround from the Raptor pit. Linkas gets Mirza.
You are never safe from the unseen Diana. Mirza flashes in, sees that the wind wall is down. I actually think that was a bit of a communication error between Singularity, because you can block the Lilia ultimate. That's something you can do. Hits them with the E, the Swirl Seed, but if this wind wall is used, maybe you think, oh, we can pull the Lilia ultimate and that's going to seal the deal. Wind wall's used, but then the mark times off from the Lilia. They can't follow through. Wouldn't have really mattered anyway. Dusty were waiting in the wings. Linkus just so deadly in that point, and now with an extra kill in tow, an extra flash away from Mirza, that mid-jungle is going to be so difficult to protect now from Singularity.
And we knew it was going to be explosive here the moment a Diana Yasuo was locked in, especially considering the players involved. Considering Scroody as well on this Lily has been nothing short of hyper-active on the champion. We knew this was likely going to be a point of pressure.
What is this farming nonsense?
Yeah, none of that. You farm champions. That's how you actually get gold in this game. And so far, we've had a fair number of attempts, some of which have been successful in the mid lane. We've got a dragon that spawned, Singularity looking to be
So this is second dragon first, was taken by Dusty. Singularity not content to let a second go over. When you are looking towards like early souls, of course you're looking to try and take those 2 early dragons, which are the ones most likely to be uncontested. Devoxne has a couple of components, has an ultimate, and Stend has a flash and a way to engage.
Gravitum Infernum, 2 of the more deadly Moonlight Vigil combos, but Person goes in, gets down the Curse of the Sad Mummy, allows to follow up on the Encore, and now Singularity trying to extricate themselves, but then Voxne is running them over as Mirza is running away from back on the other side of the map. It is a split fight. Linkas now trying to dodge it as Mirza ignited and deleted by Backland, and a little bit of help from Stend earlier on in the trade.
Oh, Singularity. They had a decent early game versus that Bifrost roster, which fell to them. That was their one win. That was their early game victory. But this time, they don't have a good don't have a good entrance to that dragon fight. They're split on multiple fronts, and they lose the dragon. They lose a kill, and Dusty with extra kills now onto that Yasuo, the first of the game. They are looking like they're once again in a very comfortable position. They play from this position a lot. And now they're looking to continue that win streak. Getting gold onto that Yasuo in the way that they have done before is a mighty fine front foot placed forward.
And again, we saw this happen to them against Bifrost, where they had some good early plays and then seriously fell away. Bifrost felt like they had that game in hand after some of those mid-game plays went round. But then Dusty are a different breed when they can pull off plays like that. The Seraphine is swiftly taken off a record label, deleted by the tower dive. But now Sips is in here, looking to land the Fear Beyond Death. Can he get someone low enough to execute them is the question you must ask. Not fired out the ultimate yet. No one quite low enough, but look at the top end of this. Mirza is here. He has a culling and a dream.
He has a culling and a dream, but no flash, remember. Any sort of CC on him, and this gets turned around. Sips fired the ult out earlier, but Stend timed it out with the stopwatch. Mirza's still going.
Death rides in with a pale cascade, and it's still not enough. Linkas falls down, and Sips hops forward with a disdain, and Singularity make it a 1-for-1 in the extended trade.
And this is something we're starting to see a little bit more from Singularity over the last couple of games. They're willing to brawl early, and if they give themselves champions with power spikes early enough, they are using them well. This time, of course, it is again just on the back of a losing trade. They are firing back, though, and that's good news for them. For a team which has, of course, had 13 losses, you've got to start picking out what you can as the good moments. But this time it's Dusty using that empowered Yasuo to find something. Of course, the Urgot ult fired out just at that moment. Stend taking the hook in, making sure he can time that one out, but the play doesn't end here. Credit to Singularity for knowing that they can actually take this play out. Mirza, you got some cojones, buddy. Look at that sidestep. You get hit by that hook. Can only imagine that goes poorly for that Lucian, but gets a kill back after a difficult early game, partly of his own creation.
Backland now might be about to face check a Lilia, though. Needs to be a little afraid. The Lilting Lullaby not popped quite yet. Now Sips is here looking for an execute threshold, but the rest of Dusty looking to defend their mid lane. It's a 4v2. Scroody behind the Urgot gets knocked up, though, and that means Backland gets entry. And Nightbringer Yasuo says goodnight to Lilia. Sweet dreams and a nightmare to boot.
Oh, sweet dreams are certainly not made of this, Scroody. Even in their victory, I'm going to have to keep referencing it as one of their bright moments. Even in that victory, he was caught out a fair bit, and Dusty have plenty of pick potential. While all this is happening, you've called away the Urgot from the side lane. Kerberos has pushed down a tie. He's probably going to die in return, but that's a good flash.
Second
Take it
bandage
back.
toss.
Looks like he's safe.
Sips just gets jumped on with a moonfall across the wall. Will Disdain and Linkas now maybe gets a Lunar Rush. Doesn't even need to get it over the wall. Linkas gets that one, and Dusty picking Singularity apart here. Now up 4,000 gold or so.
Oh, Dusty. They are looking to cement themselves in that race for that second place. Riddle won earlier. They're looking to keep pace with them. And getting gold onto this Yasuo Diana is a heck of a way to do it. They are the explosive first members into the fight in so many different scenarios. Linkus taking enemy jungle camps for himself, getting ahead of the curve, just finds the targets. At this point, Zpikee, you just can't be walking through here. You're not at the HP able to tank up a Diana, who at this point in the game is such a powerhouse. Even gone for Nash, it's going to be the Nashes into the Sunfire Cape for that Diana.
Oh,
much
yes,
more tanky,
true.
lots of sustained damage, and it is so painful to fight in melee range. Someone like that Urgot, who's behind the curve against a 4-kill Diana, who is at the same level as you, that is not a winning fight, my friend.
It is a fairly standard Urgot build, such as they are. The Titanic Hydra first is the look in here. Not completed yet, though, and is still down a significant amount in the lane matchup. Kerberos got, I believe, 4 out of the 5 plates towards the top side. Then Voxnay did have to flash there. The culling does go wide. Of course, it was blind. Second Herald taken down to about 1500 HP, and I don't think Singularity will be in range to contest, but now Stend, in a slightly tricky position, but with the Blast Cone available, may look to turn this anyway.
Okay, what's going to happen here? Is Stend going to go for this anyway? Who's picking up the eye?
Gets the knocker, but it's not quite range for the last breath, and that means Stend falls. In they go for the four-man moonfall! And then, of course, Backlund takes their breaths away. TK bow Dusty. Trade your support for a play like that.
Someone call up NASA, get them to train that telescope on the moon. It's fallen on Singularity. It's 4 kills, 4-man combo. What the hell, Dusty? That was disgusting.
We asked for the ceiling. It's looking like it's out of the atmosphere and straight into a lunar orbit. They'll get us charge on the Herald as well, and Dusty are putting this game to bed.
Oh, call that one the James Webb combo. Pretty much everything going right for Dusty at
44K,
that
baby.
point. This is such a beautiful play. Dusty again, finding their way onto comfort picks of their own. This has been their combo of choice. Stend just goes, YOLO, let's go for it. Seen that a couple of times today. It's only game 2, remember, but
so good.
We are making sure we're amping up the entertainment. Singularity cannot hold their own. The damage is done. When you have so much gold onto the Yasuo Diana, this is what happens when they start getting rolling. You get caught, you get done.
The atmosphere, the gravity of that Moonfall is dragging Singularity under in this game so far. It was a fairly competitive early game, but now Dusty with 3 dragons, with the gold lead, and with a combo like this, you can't help but feel Dusty are on a march towards a top 2 place contest, if not finish.
So, I know many of you will be joining the Metallica hype train from Stranger Things. I'd like you to introduce you to Slayer's Rain and Blood, as the Immortal Shield Bow has now come through from Yasuo after that. So much damage. Actually, it might have even been there from that one. I just wanted to use that pun. Either way, doing plenty of slaying between the mid and jungle from Linkus and Backlund. This engine for Dusty has been running so cleanly over their win streak. And Singularity really haven't had much to say about it. Failed to really stop this combo popping off, and now they have to find a way to problem solve the way around that, but it is not going to be easy to do so.
If I may offer a musical suggestion as well. Tori Amos does a wonderful cover of Rain of Blood.
Really?
It's on piano, it's wonderful. She also does a really good cover of Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Oh, I did know about that one.
Lady Gaga really rates that version of Rain of Blood, as to Slayer themselves. It's really cool, from back in the 80s, I believe.
Yeah, Gosh, some music stuff, actually. Yeah. You know what? That's going to be a long rabbit hole.
That is a very deep one for us.
That's a big one. It's like, how do I go through like half a lifetime of musical travel from myself, musical journey, but Dusty are content to travel around this map and go on their own little journey. Sip's finally able to get towards a side lane. Singularity haven't even managed to get themselves a single tower up until this point down. 6,000 gold going to be cut a little bit from that, but it really has felt that Singularity went for a couple of early skirmishes, much like their previous iterations of their roster. Sometimes they'd find something in the early skirmishes, but Dusty are just across the board so much stronger than them, and their players today have really turned up with hands and keyboards ready to outplay.
Does feel that way, and honestly, something that's alarmed me a little bit is I don't think I've seen Sips use a Fear Beyond Death yet. You've picked this Urgot.
He did use that one in bot lane. It was just timed.
It was just timeout.
It was just timed out on the Nautilus with the Zhonyas, with the stopwatch.
It was. Okay.
But if you're reaching that far, you know what? Your point's very valid still.
Yeah, I honestly didn't see it launched. I wasn't sure if it had been used at all, and that says a lot, really. And you've kind of set up for this potential kill combo that's not really come through, and now Dusty have certainly found a few lethal combinations of their own. Now Linkast does get in and gets that invade onto the Raptors, and we're left with a game that is firmly in Dusty's control, firmly in their hands. And firmly looking like a Singularity defeat here, despite a pretty exciting showing against Bifrost. However, slightly messy it was.
Yeah, Scrooty looking to try and hoover up some farms somehow, somewhere, and Scrooty once again calling them out as to the positive. Scrooty was on the charge, finding some strong fights for Singularity at the very start of the game, but he hasn't been able to translate that into team fights. The team hasn't been able to translate into team fights. They're not even going to start one around the Baron. They're too far away. They don't have information. And trying to face check into this comp is absolutely disgusting. Dusty, take that objective, and that should allow them to gain control of the entire map. And they've already got control of most of it. It won't be that much effort, and hopefully break that base. Threaten to dive to end the game.
Half wondered there where the person might look to try and catch a straggler on the recall, but can't find the angle and was spotted out by Linkas anyway. He's Dusty with 2.5 minutes of Baron to play with, and a Soul coming up in just 1.5 minutes as well, so that will translate very nicely into that, and Singularity very much at death's door in this game.
Yeah, and ushering them in very quickly through it is, of course, again, got to talk about this mid-jungle duo. Backlund, what a sensation he has been in this split. Dusty, this should be just one more step on their road towards the top of that table. JDXL, of course, sat above them, number of wins above them at that point. But second place, that first round bye, could very much be there for them. Kerberos, though, on his journey, on his way there, is going to get caught up by 3 people on the side.
Boy, that's a lot of people there. I don't think he's got anywhere to go. Does get an ultimate off, but the fear beyond death lands. He's dragged into the meat grinder, and that'll be Gnar. Biscuits for breakfast. Linkas hit up by the encore, goes gold, but now turns around. Another catastrophic moonfall makes it look like an otherwise fantastic fight for Dusty. They'll get one back again, so it's a 2-for-2 right now. But Vden Voxnay has got damage, and Mirza and crew must run. They don't have the health bars remaining.
And they find a pick before the fight comes out. They get rid of the Gnar, and it's just enough to get them an even fight in a 5v4 after that point. The weight of the gold seriously weighing in Dusty's favor. They're going to take down towers. They haven't actually managed to break the base. That's the consolation for Singularity. They've got their inhib tower standing. They got all their inhibs in good nick. But Dusty, they were trying to play the 1-4, but their split push, it gets picked off, even though Gnar is winning in the individual level, 2 levels up on the Urgot. When you send this many people to them, it is not a winning scenario.
They get the shutdown, that's great news. Honestly, after that encore landed, I thought there might be an opportunity, but then there's the knock-up, and then that moonfall, that's 2 in a row.
And we're going stargazing today. Look to the skies, you'll find yourself a Yasuo and a Diana suspended up there with the entire Singularity screen. Trust me, just look out your window. I do that occasionally. Dusty. For the outside of Singularity's windows, bit of a grey day for them, of course. Really, again, this was meant to be, just to reiterate, a game which will be good for their momentum, good for their own spirits. And they have, again, found out some of their own okay skirmishes in the early game. It's just getting it beyond that point. There's early brawls, looking okay at points, but it's never really transformed beyond that.
Second item is now mostly complete for Singularity. Prowler's Claw second, an interesting choice here from Sips, but you're looking at the side and it's closing in on 3 items for Dusty, and those aren't cheap item builds either.
No, well, Sips would love to use that Prowler's Claw to get away from the... Not able to do that, of course, and with everything happening in the bot side, Singularity maybe finding an angle top.
Wind wall popped, but nothing else.
Reminder that Linkas didn't use that flash for the last combo, so he actually has that to set up another multi-man knockup, which Singularity have to be so scared about. At least for Singularity, they don't have to worry about the Baron being up for a little longer. Linkas is on the flag.
Linkas over the wall, does go in, but the encore comes through, and Stend looking to fall down. The Kaiser's hammer against one. Linkas about to be put to sleep. The lulting lullaby comes in, and that means they can't get the ult off, but they can still get a last breath anyway. Get Backlund, but what about the rest? Because Vden Voxnay is turned up, and he has the ultimate in janitorial weapons, red-white, and it's good night to the rest of Singularity.
And Voxnay, welcome to the table. He's been doing some decent team fight damage, but took a backseat to Backlund. Backlund goes down, and that one does his own Beyblading to set up his ultimate for the first time in this game, and it will be enough to see Dusty level with Riddle, keeping things tied up at second place.
It was a valiant effort from Singularity, a valiant early game, but Dusty in the mid game, Linkus and Backland in the mid-game bring down the Moon, and it is a crushing victory from in the end. They'll tie it with Riddle, and the race for second place is very much on.
Now, this was a champion that didn't feature in this game, but if Dusty were looking to cosplay one at this point, it would be Jace. We're talking about them finding their ceiling. To the skies, look up. This team is really starting to push the ante on being that dark horse, being that team which potentially could surprise, could go further beyond. And Singularity on the other side of that were just not their match, not their equal today.
Absolutely not. They did a pretty good job, though. Let's be fair. We saw some good stuff out of Scrooty. It was an entertaining
It was not
draft.
an embarrassment.
No, and they actually made some competitive plays around the mid lane. It's just when Linkus can consistently make Moonfall plays like that, I mean, what do you do?
Die. Go to the respawn chamber, go to the next objective, and have it happen again.
Apparently so. And, you know, we'll call it out here. Singularity still very much in that relegation zone at this point and unlikely to get out of it. But if you continue to see this trajectory, I think those teams in Div 2 that might once have said, look, Singularity look like potentially juicy pickings, less so after these last couple games.
It is hard to completely benchmark between different divisions because, of course, we don't see cross-play between them. Of course, you only see that really between scrims, which we are not always privy to. And if we were, we wouldn't be telling you because that's a secret. But either way, this team is one which I think Div 2 still needs to be asking questions of and not taking it as a done deal.
What I am telling you, though, is we need to toss to the desk, though. So we're gone for now. We'll see you in a few.
Thank you so much. As we wrap this game, Singularity not able to deal with the heat coming in from Dusty. We have a lot to talk about because for the first time, Backland died on Yasuo. Done.
A moment of silence.
There we go.
For the KDA that got ruined right
Rip.
there.
As we go to the next one. Urgot, what was the deal? What was he supposed to do? And you're the top laner. You're the knowledgeable guy. You're the wiki I go for when I need to approach top laners.
So the thing is, right, Urgot in the past was that go-to blind pick. Way back when we had...
TFT.
Not quite.
Okay.
Sion versus Urgot was a staple meta lane, but you know he's been nerfed since then. Right now he has too many counters. Right, even now the meta pick top lane is a bit of a counter. A little thing that some people, you know, little known fact is that Gnar actually gets attack range with level. So you're on this timer where you're slowly getting more and more outranged by Gnar as Urgot. It's not a good matchup, and you saw this natural CS deficit of almost 40, I believe, at 15 minutes. It was really gross.
And it seemed like Scrooty was going for the early game. Meanwhile, it was Linkus going straight up for objectives, slowing down the game, getting the team rolling on until we got to that point where wombo combo.
Yeah, I think there was one particular clip, I think it was around 16 minutes towards the top side of the map, and you'll see that Stend is actually diving from the blast cone, if we can bring up the replay as well, and everyone from the set of Singularity focused that Nautilus to bring him down. There we go, thank you, production. Is that mine?
It's not the one, but we're still gonna look into this one.
It is. If you look at Stend, he's going to split apart from his team. He's going behind the wall, but there is a blast cone, so there's a pretty good opportunity to blast cone over and get someone with the anchor. This is what he's gonna try to do. He actually gets the Seraphine right there and knocks up, but you see the Backland doesn't go in on this. He goes in on this. That's a 4-man wombo combo here. Then Voxner hitting his ultimate with Infernum right there, and they absolutely demolish Singularity. And through that, they got so much momentum that every single fight from there on out, it was a fist fight. Dusty were hitting Singularity with their wallets at this point. They had more damage, and even though, yes, this looked like a fight that technically Singularity should win, they just did not have the resources and the damage output to turn this one around.
And this is something I wanted to talk about. Something that's not talked about as often when it comes to teams, talking about the quality of the team, is actually their ability to skirmish, how good they are at skirmishing. Every time I watch Dusty, because I've given them quite high praise now, their best attribute to be is their ability to turn around fights regardless of the situation. I've seen them make stupid macro decisions and then just win a fight afterwards because they're better, right? And I think this is such an amazing quality. It reminds me of, it's very G2-esque from back in the day, 2019. I think they're just a fantastic team in terms of skirmishing.
I'm just gonna make it very NLC-esque.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say, I'm gonna take the crown off of Bifrost for the Teamfight Kings after 25 minutes, and I'm gonna place it on Dusty. Let's all imagine Dusty's right here. I placed it on Dusty.
Okay. Might as well talk with Stend to understand what he feels about that one. He's with us for the interview. Hello, welcome back. Hello. And I don't know if you listened to anything we were saying right now about how Dusty is so good looking into the team fights. You now have the crown from Bifrost. How do you feel listening to these things?
Yeah, I was listening. I agree on the fact that we are kind of good for the skirmishes. We have like a really strong mid jungle, I would say, like playing really aggressive picks, and the Nautilus as well, giving some engages. So yeah, I like this identity.
Stend, do you think that out of any team pretty much in the NLC, you are the most flexible when it comes to picks? Because up to the point where we saw the Achilles getting locked, we're like, this could very easily be a pivot, then Voxnip playing that Yasuo was the bot side of the map. Do you think this is something that makes your team really strong?
Yeah, I think we are really, really flexible. We have a lot of pocket picks that force a lot of ban in drafts. I think drafting against us is really hard because we can play weak side bot, strong side top, weak side top. We have like combos in mid jungle, so you don't like everyone can carry and tank for the team to let the team carry. So I'm really happy about that.
I'm a little bit scared. He said we have strong side top, weak side top if we want, strong side bot, weak side bot. We've got mid jungle synergy. We have so many pocket picks we haven't picked out, and I'm like, I'm freaking excited for playoffs, man.
You're spitting facts, Stend, today. I'm enjoying this, so I want to hit it with a curveball. Aragon said that Dusty might be the best team, or the team to win the entire split. Do you feel comfortable with that? Are you sure, like, we're going to take it?
Yeah, I'm really, really comfortable. Right now, we are training a lot to prepare the playoffs, to fix our weaknesses, and to be ready, like to not be surprised like 2 days before the playoffs. We are already preparing for 2 weeks, and yeah, for sure our goal is to win the NLC.
You've fallen straight into my trap card. My trap cards. My question to you, I apologize, was it seems like Dusty is one of the best, if not the best team right now. They don't do a lot of mistakes. Even when they do, they win in team fights. What is the team that you believe is the hardest to fight versus you? Like you may have the worst problems to fight against. And how can you solve that?
I think it will be GDXL for sure.
Why?
If we manage to block MNS on mid lane, I think like having good matchup and block his playstyle, I'm pretty sure we will win against them.
I honestly, Stend, I cannot even reiterate how much I really want to see the Buckland versus MNS.
Yes, I agree.
Look at him.
Yes,
yeah.
Because your freaking mid laner is on fire this split. I don't know if you have any more questions, but I just really wanted to commend you guys as well. Dusty, you're probably the most flexible, the most fun to watch, the most creative. Your team fights are clean. Props to you and the entire team, because when you first came into the league in summer, it didn't look as gelled together. But honestly, props to you, the staff behind you, you guys trying so hard. You seem like a huge contender for you Masters.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm looking forward for you guys for you Masters. I'm getting my hopes up again. I always fall to this trap, and good luck, mate. I really hope you guys can do it. Thank you so much. Have a nice one.
Bye-bye.
My NL copium. It is. My NL copium is rising yet again. And it seems like this is a team that could look into the top of the standings. Not only that, but to win the entire summer split. He was saying something about mistakes. You are a coach. What do you believe are those mistakes?
So sometimes in the game that they struggled recently, where Kerberos was playing Darius, I think sometimes the champ pool issues appear when they're playing strong side. Like I think the consistency playing towards a Darius lane wasn't good, especially when they were against the Ornn. I believe it was against Vanir, right? I think. So I think sometimes they aren't good at playing around topside on certain picks. That was one thing. But no, honestly, it's really difficult to pinpoint because they're playing so well, honestly.
So it seems like this could be the team.
I feel like he mentioned he's like, even if top lane is weak and they fall behind, bot lane's gonna carry. Even if bot lane falls behind and top lane falls behind, a mid jungle synergy is gonna pull us out of the deficit. They're so freaking scary to play against because they can fumble the macro, but when it comes to fights and skirmishes, as you mentioned, Aragon, they're absolutely flawless.
We saw this on this game, and one person that was on the other side to deal with this one-more combo was Zpikee, and we have him today on the interview. That was a massive team fight from Dusty all around. It seemed like at the beginning of the game, though, Zpikee, welcome to the interview, by the way, you had the lead in favor of Singularity. It was working, but what happened?
I mean, I think they read our draft pretty well, right? I think as it stands right now, our options are a bit one-dimensional. I think we play a lot of jungle. I don't think that's a secret right now. So I think they prepped really well. So I think it was really hard for us to contest a lot of these objectives early, even though we got a few really good ganks off. So I think, at least from my point of view, I felt like the draft was really, really hard to play against and kind of stopped us in our tracks a bit.
And I got to make the question. I got to do it, Zpikee. Urgot. Oh, that is not the answer I was looking for, but yeah, can you guide me through this pick?
I mean, it's a SIP champion, right? I don't know how much more I can say about that. I think Urgot likes a lot of melee champions, right? And I picked a lot of melee, and we're kind of struggling a bit with finding good top lines. I think a lot of teams are. So I think we're just trying stuff out now for relegations, right? And kind of goes the same for me with the Seraphine. It's not really a champion that I've shown a lot in the past. So I think we're trying stuff out. We know what works now. And we're confident around that playstyle, so now we're just trying to add more picks into that.
Okay, it was a jalapeno from Sips, but he doesn't like spicy
I think a really
food.
good fix to that is just cutting off the top lane altogether. No one needs top laners anyway, because they don't give much to the team.
Always the same.
Zpikee would get rid of all the Dariuses that want him dead as well, so it's all good.
It is good for him, yeah.
Real quick question. You also mentioned the Seraphine, of course, which is a more passive neutralizing lane. You guys brought the Ash Brom in the previous game. Now that Scrooty has seemed to have joined the team, a lot of the bot lane focus is how do we neutralize that and then help with these tools later on in the team fights. Is Scrooty the main carry at this point for the team?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just came out naturally, right? I mean, with the previous roster, we played a lot around me and Jeppe, right? And that's kind of where we found our successes, right? But then we kind of noticed that Scrooty's kind of been out jungling a lot of people, and people are playing a lot of Volley and Viego and Wukong, this early game champions. So I feel like if you just neutralize these Kalista lanes and you don't basically run it down, I think the jungle can really outscale if you give him the tools. And for me, I think that's been completely fine. I don't really mind giving resources to and taking a step back and playing a more passive role as an AD carry, and I think it's been working for us. So I think we're trying to keep on in that track. We didn't really expect the Lilia to be open today, so I think our draft got a bit mixed up because we had something else prepared. But I mean, it's all practice for relegation at this point, right? So I think every game that we get that is left is good practice, and we'll try to look strong for relegation.
And you keep talking about it, the relegations, and something when I cast Division 2, they always say, okay, we're looking into Singularity, we're studying Singularity, but now that you know that you're going to relegations and you have a good team to get out of them, are you studying Division 2 teams?
I mean, to be honest, I haven't watched a single Div 2 game, but I mean, I played around those leagues my entire career, right? I've been a regional player for like 4 years, so I know a lot of the players. I know how they like to play. I've been kind of forced to adapt to this NLC tempo, so I feel kind of confident going into it. I feel like the people who think, or the Div 2 teams that think it's going to be free games against Singularity probably has to think twice, because we're practicing, we're getting ready. So I think like there's not going to be any easy games from our part, I think.
I love it. I like that confidence, Zpikee. It's good talking with Singularity and getting some confidence out of you guys. So I'm really happy with that one. Thank you so much for the interview. I'll see you soon. And thank you so much for the reply on that video. It really touched our hearts.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Have a nice one. I like Zpikee. And I like the idea like, okay, we can go into relegations, but we're coming out of that alive.
I think it's really important to actually be realistic about what you can and can't do in the league. And realistically and mathematically speaking, it's not really possible for Singularity to make it out. And what I'm saying, mathematically speaking, you guys might think, well, okay, M&M only have 3 wins and technically Singularity can catch them in 2 wins if they win. But I just want to remind everyone that they're playing JDXL on Wednesday. So it's just like, it's really difficult. The strength of schedule that they have from now on is just very difficult. But I think it's good that you focus on the objective in front of you, which is not getting relegated.